which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All the board members, everyone here has the presentation in their packet. It may be easier to see it from the screen. It's up to you.
Chris has one with crayons.
Do you have it?
Just because you're not.
All right, Mr. Harrison.
Okay, thank you very much. Just waiting as the presentation gets pulled up on the screen.
That's so cool. It's like a teleprompter.
Okay, thanks again. Thanks for providing the opportunity tonight to discuss real property assessment relief. This is a required public hearing in advance of the Board of Education taking action tonight. So again, we're talking about real property assessment relief. This impacts both senior citizens and persons with disabilities. We're going to go over the current exemptions that are in place that were previously implemented by the Board of Education. We're going to talk about what's currently known versus what's not known. I do apologize on the screen, it's small, but we do have copies of the presentation available. So on August 8th of 2022, the governor signed into law an increase to the household income limits for property assessment relief for vulnerable low-income taxpayers. Those taxpayers are further defined as either senior citizens or persons with disabilities. The current limits in effect at the state level are $29,000 for both groups of residents. So with this new legislation, that amount's been increased to $50,000 at the household level. And that $50,000 of income would potentially provide for a 50% reduction in the assessed value of the properties of those individuals. So a reduction in assessed values potentially leads to reduction in property taxes paid. To get the maximum deduction, you would have to, again, be under those income thresholds. If you're above those thresholds, there is a sliding scale, which you'll see on the next couple of screens, for amounts of income higher than the maximum threshold. So each taxing jurisdiction within the town independently decides the amount of assessment relief to grant. Currently in effect for East Islip, the income limits for the maximum assessment relief of 50% is $29,000 for senior citizens and $18,500 for persons with disabilities. So again, with senior citizens, making up to and including $29,000 would be eligible for a 50% reduction in assessed value, which again could lead to a reduction in property taxes paid. Now this amount of reduction decreases to 5% as you approach $37,400. So this is the sliding scale currently in place for senior citizens. The next page also is a sliding scale, but for the disabled persons with limited income in the community. So there, if you're making up to and including $18,500, you would be eligible upon applying to the town for a 50% reduction in assessed value on your school taxes. The maximum level to receive any sort of reduction is $26,900. So the couple of key points to take away tonight, even though these assessment reliefs are granted, along with many other assessment reliefs, whatever tax levy the Board of Education approves during the budget process, it remains the same regardless of the amount of exemptions granted. So we levy $73.4 million last year. We received $73.4 million regardless of the exemptions available. But equally important, whatever assessment relief is granted, the tax burden shifts from those individuals to those that are not receiving those exemptions. So it's a shift of the tax burden. So at the current limits I showed you on the previous two screens, there are 304 exemptions for seniors currently on the books and another 10 for exemptions for persons with disabilities. The total assessed valuation for both groups added together is almost $5.2 million. So that's money that's been removed from the tax rolls of the district, and property owners are currently getting a break based upon that those assessed valuations. So prior to the change in law, the town of Islip was at $29,000 income limit for both groups of individuals. So what we do know is that if the Board of Ed chose to increase the limit for persons with disability to $29,000, based upon information available, the impact to the other taxpayers would be negligible due to the small size of that population. However, because there's new thresholds in place going up to $50,000, there's no data that it currently exists that will allow for the board to project what the shift in tax burden would be from the senior population to the rest of the community to make up for the decrease in assessed valuations. So next year at this time, there'll be more information available for the board to make a decision based upon the new limits adopted by the town of Islip for town of Islip taxes. And this is an item that the Board of Ed can revisit on an annual basis. So whatever decisions are made this year or not can be revisited next year at the same time. Any changes made would impact the 2023-2024 tax rolls. So at this point, if the Board of Ed had any questions, I would like to try and answer them for you.
Mr. Harrison, is there a prediction of how many more, right now it's only 10, correct? If you raise it to 29,000, is there an estimate on how many more people would qualify?
Interestingly enough, I don't have a number on the number of households that would qualify, but I do know the amount of assessed valuations that would increase. And when I looked at and analyzed that number, it would not change the other community members' tax rates because it's so small.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Mr. Harrison, East Islip's not the only district doing this, right? Other districts in the town have to make the same decision as well, correct?
Not only the town, but throughout the state, yes.
Okay.
So I guess we're going to be voting on this tonight, so I guess we'll have to talk about this also. We'll talk about this out front when we have the meeting. Have to be more people watching. I don't know how many are watching now. I assume less than will be watching at 8. But I don't know, Mr. Harrison draws a big crowd. So yeah, we'll talk about this out front again, but so we're talking about increasing the disability number to be the same as the senior?
That's correct.
And because we know what that number is, correct?
That's right.
So the problem is we don't know what the number will be if we go above the 29, go anywhere between 29 and 50. So as much as we want to help out our seniors and persons with disabilities with their taxes, without knowing the cost to the other taxpayers, that's the main issue here, Steve?
That's correct.
Next year, we'll have an idea, correct?
That's right.
So if we don't do it this year, we would go to the 29. This time next year, we would have an idea of what will happen if we go further.
And why will we know more next year compared to now?
Because the other taxing jurisdictions, these two groups of community members would be able to apply for their exemptions, so we would know how many would qualify at the new income levels.
So we know whether then we're costing the other taxpayers, we're talking tens of dollars or hundreds of dollars then? We'll have a better idea next year on that?
That's correct. Based upon the exemptions already granted, it's probably closer to the hundreds of dollars than the tens of dollars.
Okay. Any other questions on this? All right, well, again, I guess we could think about that, and then we'll have until 8 o'clock. If we have any other questions for you, Stephen, like I said, we'll probably revisit. For those few who will watch both sessions, My apologies if we repeat questions, but we just want to make sure the public has all the information on this. But thank you, Mr. Harrison, for your presentation.
Thank you.
So then we have nothing else to do now for this hearing, so I guess we'll make a motion to go back into exec. I don't know, this is not a public hearing where they get to, the public ask questions. No, I don't care. Josh, Joanne, you have questions, or man? You guys have questions on the, we could talk about it if anybody else. Dr. O'Rourke, you're a taxpayer, okay?
What about Tex and Rich?
Do you guys live in East Islip? No, they can't speak. Okay, so then if nobody has any questions, then I'll make the motion to adjourn into exec, and then we'll come back out at 8 o'clock. Anybody want to second that, or we want to stay?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll miss the call.
All right, everyone will be back at 8.
I'm gonna be Billy.
Good. Okay, let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you all for coming. I think this is the first meeting that my wife and children have come to, and ironically, it's for another man. Okay. We're doing the property first? But that's just the hearing. Okay, board present to advise members of the audience that they may address the board regarding agenda items after the superintendent's report. Only those members whose names and addresses are listed on the sign-in sheet available prior to the start of the meeting will be recognized during new business. The chairperson will limit discussions of any item by the public to 3 minutes in order for the board to expeditiously conduct its business. Mr. Dolan.
How about, evening, everybody. Can we start off with the student recognitions?
Absolutely.
All right. It's going to take me a second, but I got to get to that microphone. You know, you gotta love Rich. I got a new hip a couple weeks ago, and I just walked all the way across the room and back, and Rich comes over and says, "You don't gotta go to the podium. I got a microphone for you." Thanks, Rich. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's like being at home. My kids try to kill me. Rich is trying to kill me. All right, this is the best part of the day. Always is. Student recognitions. First and foremost, I'd ask Mrs. Bridget LaPiccolo to come to the microphone. Well, Bridget, I can bring the microphone to you, okay, if you want. And I'd also like to have Ava Rizzo come up and Cecilia Francis. Yeah, once again, she waited to get here. You guys make fun of my report being long. If Bridget had said, "Club, come with me," we would be home a lot earlier tonight. SAD members, come on up.
Good evening. I'm the advisor of SAD, which is Students Against Destructive Decisions. Many years ago, when you and I were in school, it was called Students Against Drunk Driving. And today we have a lot more issues that students are faced with. And so it's naturally been changed to Students Against Destructive Decisions. Our club, this is a few of our members. We have members in SAD this year, which to me says a lot. It's really grown over the past couple of years. And the students in SAD are very much committed to helping younger children in lower grades, middle schoolers, fifth graders, middle schoolers, and other high schoolers to make good decisions. And we do many different programs throughout the year. We start the year off with doing a program at the fifth grade, which our president will speak about in a minute, which we're working on tonight, recognizing the winners. That's called Red Ribbon. And then in November, we go to the middle school and we speak to the middle school health classes about them making good decisions and how to get involved with community organization, clubs, and sports to stay doing positive things so that they don't get sidetracked and make these poor decisions. And then we do several programs at the high school, Grim Reaper, which shows the statistic that about every 7 minutes someone dies due to drugs, alcohol, or suicide because of it. And then we do fun things, like we have a fashion show, an annual fashion show, which raises money for all our different programs. And that's open to all students at the high school. They get to dress up, run down, go down the run away and have a really good time, because you can go out, have a great time, and not need to drink, do drugs, or these other things. So these are just some of our great examples of students in the high school who are, you know, being role models for these young ladies. Come on up here. Come on, you guys are winners. And so I'm going to have our president, Rachel Fury, speak for just a minute, go over what we did.
So Red Ribbon Week is a national week, and it's about anti-drug and anti-alcohol. And we speak to 5th grade classes in RCK and JFK because sadly the national average that children start to drink is 11. So instead we present to them and talk about how they could surround themselves with good friends, people who make good decisions, and how to be involved in school and community, and ultimately make good decisions. And then at the conclusion of our presentation, we ask everyone to make their own red ribbons and come up with a creative anti-drug or alcohol slogan. And we all picked the best one. So we voted that Cecilia Francis and Ava Rizzo are the winners.
So each winner is receiving a $25 gift card to Target and a backpack filled with some goodies that we think is just fun and exciting. So don't get crazy all Target all at once, $25. You can get some nice stuff there, right? And don't let your family take it, because you can buy anything at Target. That's why they voted for Target. I asked them, what kind of gift card should we get the kids? They go, Target, you could get anything there. So, so I'm gonna have you guys read your ribbons. Is that okay? All right, so do you want to go first? So say your name, right over here. I can see you.
I'm Ava Rizzo. If you live to do it, you will regret it.
Good.
I'm Cecilia Francis. Don't drink, smoke, vape, and don't do drugs. These things can lead to death and will ruin your life. You will regret these decisions.
And all the 5th graders also got to speak to the students of the high school about what middle school's like. And so I like to end the presentation when they go to the classes on looking forward to their future and what's different things that they can do. And so I'm going to have each of the students here just say their name, what grade they're in, and what type of activities they do at East Islip.
I'm Rachel Fury, and I'm the captain of the varsity tennis team.
I'm Florence Gonzalez. I'm in 10th grade, and I do almost all the clubs offered, and I'm a dancer outside of school.
I'm Gianna Traeger. I'm a JV cheer captain and am in about 11 clubs.
I'm Anna Frankie. I'm in 10th grade. I'm vice president of our class, and I'm in SAD and student government.
I'm Riley Gallagher, and I'm in 10th grade, and I'm in like 3 clubs.
I'm Stephen Foray, and I'm involved at many of the clubs at the East Islip High School.
I'm Sophia Penny. I'm in 10th grade, and I play JV hockey.
I'm Cassie Dodenhoff. I'm in 10th grade, and I'm on varsity field hockey.
I'm Samantha Penny. I'm in 10th grade, and I play East Islip ice hockey.
I'm Kyla Timmer. I'm in 10th grade, and I'm in SAD Club.
So these members are really great examples to these students as to how to get involved in school, make the most of their school experience, and to have a really positive and exciting future instead of getting, tied down with things that are going to bring you down. So nice job and congratulations. You guys did a great job.
And Bridget, how about a nice round of applause for all the work Bridget does for us? And here's the chance for the commercial for all of you here and at home. Look, you can love them, you can tell them, you can show them, but eventually they have to make a decision. And I always say, you know, kids are like sponges. Their eyes and their ears soak everything in. And there's a school of thought out there that, yeah, it's okay, they're at my house. I mean, one of my favorite stories in my career was, you know, a child had had a few glasses of wine before the prom, and the father told me, no, she wasn't drinking. She had a couple of glasses of wine at my house. And I looked at him and I said, you might want to rethink that. There's medical evidence and medical research. If our children, and listen, I grew up in a generation where it was thought a little experimentation was a good thing. But if these things get introduced into young bodies and developing brains early, that's when addiction happens. And addiction destroys across all families in the country. But if students can stay away, if students can make good decisions till their brain is developed and they're in their early 20s, there is virtually no chance of them becoming addicted. So I say to parents all the time, lock up your guns, lock up your pills, and keep track of your liquor. Because until they reach a certain age of brain development, it's a scary, scary thing. So to those of you who are out there advocating for good decisions, listen to all the other things they did, the wonderful activities, good decisions. And our two winners tonight, ladies, you're the future, and we're looking forward to seeing you at the high school, and one day you're going to be wearing a red shirt. So let's give them all a nice round of applause. All right. This one's a good way to finish it up. I'd like to ask Mr. Gary Tice to come up here first, and Margaret Gallagher. And Chris, come on up with them. Bring your parents. And there is a quick side story, and this kind of sums up my whole experience in East Islip. You become the superintendent, you have no clue to what you're supposed to be doing. You have no idea what the job entails, but they tell you you have to do a lot of things. One of those things was go out and meet the different groups and become part of the community. Maybe the first group I met, correct me if I'm wrong, was the Chamber of Commerce. Now, I kind of thought I knew what the Chamber of Commerce did. I thought they were there to help promote business and, in the community. And I meet Gary Tice. And I have to tell you the truth. I don't know how pure my motives were, because I thought I had to be a certain way to be the superintendent. And I meet this guy, and he starts telling me about putting up flowers, putting up posters for the veterans, putting up holiday decorations, and I'm thinking, is there anything to do with business here? Is anybody making any money? Is anything happening? And what I started to realize was there are a couple of different ways you can go about being a Chamber of Commerce. You can really approach it from the business angle, do a cost-benefit analysis, and try to make more money. Or you can just be good, kind, and decent, and people will come to you. And if you've ever had the privilege of having an accident and going down to Gary's shop because your car's been banged up, and watch the cast of characters that come in and the way he helps his customers. Gary, you were my first real outside East Islip organization. Be my forever, because, look, it's about the size of your heart, not the size of your wallet. And what you do for people and what you've done for people. And I got to admit, getting up with you on Saturday morning, climbing ladders, and putting up flowers, we have a lot of laughs. But, I think that's what ultimately this community is all about. Do what you can to make the place a little bit better. Do what you can to make the place a little bit prettier. And I have to tell you, you haven't lived till you've held the ladder for Gary Tice. I mean, that's a view that you all should experience at least once. So Gary's here to give out the first of what I'm going to call a scholarship, but I'll let Gary and Margaret explain it. So, my friend, here you go.
Well, thank you, Mr. Dolan. And also a real good round of applause for Mr. Dolan. What a wonderful job he's done He's been a friend to everybody, and his heart, your heart, is bigger than everyone's. So, thank you, thank you. Anyway, so my name is Gary Tajos. I'm an alumni of East Islip, and I was born with 2 left feet in my mouth. So I'll try to make this quick. About 7 years ago, I think now, Mrs. LaPiccolo had come to the shop and asked if we wanted to be involved with the core program. And I figured, all right, I'll try it, see how that's going to work out. I didn't know how it was going to work out, but I wish that we did it sooner. And every student that has been with us has been nothing short of phenomenal, and we are so proud of all of them. We have Chris here. We are so proud of him. Chris is, and I know he already knows that I like to embarrass him and put him on the spot, so that's okay, because you're right here with us. One of the things that we are doing, my son Matthew and I have been talking about this for a while, and we are doing we're calling it a scholarship, but it's going to be an award that each one of the core students will get throughout the school year, where they will be able to take their parents and siblings to a local restaurant of their choice, so they can treat their parents and siblings for a night out at one of the places that they've been working at. Obviously, you wouldn't want to take them to the shop to have dinner, because I don't think that's going to be too good. Or Steve's Laundromat over there. I don't think that would be good either, but the local restaurants where they work at. And the only thing that we're asking of the restaurants is to roll out the red carpet for them when they come in, because they have worked so hard. And I think it's going to be a really great thing for the students to be able to say, hey, look, let's go out to dinner on me, which I think is just going to be a really great thing. We've been talking about this for a long time, and we just hope this is something that we can keep going throughout the years. So without saying any more, I would like to put Mrs. LaPiccolo on, and we are going to present Chris with his Hard Work is the Core to Success, and the gift certificate that he can take his dad out. So again, great job with Chris, and great job with all the kids. So thank you.
So the core program, work program, is a work-based learning program. Students have a portion of their day where they go out to work. At those workplaces, they learn all sorts of skills in order to be employable. And so Chris has really developed a vast amount of skills, and he asked to work at the auto body place. He kept itching to go. He kept saying, when could I go? When could I go? And he kept proving himself at all different places. We have 8 locations that we are with. We're at Carrabba's and Applebee's and many, Party City, lots of different locations, a laundromat, Island Laundromat, lots of different locations, where the students all pick up different skills. Retail, food preparation, and one of them is working at auto body. And Chris really, really loves it, and he's really skilled now. Before he was afraid to ask questions, but now he just steps right up and gets involved, and Gary's place is very busy, so there's no time for chit-chat. They get a lot of work done, and they've done some amazing programs there, volunteer programs with Bravo Foxtrot, preparing a van for veterans, and that's a whole nother program. So if you don't know what that is, please look into that. And they actually worked on a van tirelessly to get it ready for the community, for veterans that need transportation. So congratulations, you do a wonderful job, and you are just a perfect example of what this program's about, and you are going to be very successful with all your skills. Congratulations, and thank you. Thank you to Gary and Lee's Auto Body and all the other businesses who step up, and when I say, can you take a teenager every week for a couple hours? Don't hang up the phone. Say yes, because it's worth every minute that they spend there. It's precious, and I know it's Gary's favorite part of the week. So thank you so much for all you're doing.
All right, now you're gonna make fun of me if I talk too long. Cheryl Pepe's got her clock on me. Hey, look, I got the nicest gift today from, and Mrs. Jones is here, the Vice President of the Administrators Association. Look, came here 8 years ago. This town, I'm gonna use the thing we all learned in kindergarten. I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say bounces off me and sticks right back on you. You know, words cannot even express how grateful I am. And when I got here, I thought I had had the best career in the world. It got better. And it got better today because thanks to Mrs. Jones, I can come back and work in East Islip forever. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you what the job is, and you can all try to figure it out. It might take a little bit of time.
Only if we approve it.
You know, my money's on Mrs. Jones because you know something. I want Mrs. Jones. I'm not worried about you. Now, in all seriousness, this has been for me. I'm very proud. You know, my wife and my two sons. My wife's down in Florida. My son's in New Jersey at the Port Authority Academy. My son is just getting out of volleyball practice. My oldest son and my daughter-in-law, holy cow, I got a daughter-in-law sitting right over there. I texted him before I came here, and I said, thank you for supporting me. And Islip has made me so much better. And going back to I'm rubber, you're glue, all the nice things. And honestly, the criticism was just as important as the nice things, because the nice things feel good, but the criticism teaches you things. And I was not always right. I promise you this, every day I came to work, I was afraid to let you down. And look at what we did today. We honored two young ladies who are inspiring us with a vision. We got some young ladies and gentlemen back there who are encouraging us all to make good decisions. You know, it doesn't get any better than that. The choices that we make take us where we go. I'm going to enjoy the last 3 weeks as superintendent more than you're ever going to know, but then I'm going to love my next career even more. So to Mrs. Jones and the administrative unit, thank you very much for giving me a purpose now. Mrs. Maloney, I see you back there. Thank you for being a great partner. And look, I'm going to try to find everybody and thank you personally. But from the bottom of my heart, I got a lot more out of East Islip than I gave to you. Thank you for letting me serve. Janet, thank you for kicking the door open and giving me the key to come back. And look, we have some really, really good stuff here. And what did Gary say? Success, the core of success is hard work. And this town is roll up your sleeves, get to work. Every once in a while, there might be a little friction, but there's no better town than East Islip. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm looking forward to the next chapter here in East Islip, and I look up at that table. I look at Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Maloney and the folks they represent. You know, your teachers, your administrators, this amount of support staff here. This is a great town with a great school district. And you know what? It's only going to get better. And like I said, I'm really not going anywhere. I'm just shifting titles. So thank you very much. And yes, East Islip, good night. I love you.
We'll wait for you, John. We debated whether to do this now or at the end, but we figured we'd have more of you here now than at the end. So, and plus John at his age might fall asleep. So, we'll do this now.
Do what?
Well, the risk, I don't want this to sound like a superintendent's report, so I'm going to save some of my good stuff for the retirement party next week. But I would be remiss if I didn't say a few words about John. I remember the day I met John was at his interview for superintendent. Yeah, he remembers it as well. And we have some mutual friends, and when they heard that our superintendent spot was opening up, they said, "Oh, I'm sure John will apply," because John came in second, the last search just 2 years before. So John was naturally a leading candidate coming into that search. And when I met him at his interview, I couldn't have been more underwhelmed by his performance at the interview. And he'll admit it, he knows, but due to his reputation and coming in second, he got a second one, and much improved from there on, and did a great job. But at the meeting where John was approved, as I always throw up to him, it was a 4-1 vote, with me being the no. I wasn't there, I was at a concert, but officially it's a no. And I was on the fence anyway, if I was there. But if I could take back one vote in 9 years, it would be that vote. John, I didn't realize it at the time, but John was just perfect for East Islip. Right from the beginning, when I think back of where we were back when John took over and what East Islip looked like, starting with the team that's up here, that worked with John. He's surrounded by himself by a tremendous team that just has added to his leadership, no doubt. He always gives credit to the board and his team, but really John deserves a lot of the credit for this. From the team right on down to our academic programs, to what this place looks like. I mean, when you think about it compared to 8 years ago, it's just a totally different place. Just the culture of it, the attitude of it. Everybody who's been around and remembers those days is out there shaking their head, just what a negative place it was to be, and just compared to what it is now, it's unbelievable to see what's gone on. And having gone through COVID and John's leadership through COVID, I know it took years off your life. I think it took years off everybody's up here. But just your leadership during that very difficult time and making very difficult decisions. We certainly didn't make everybody happy, but it was amazing the way you handled that situation, situation no one's ever been in before. So from that, it's been an honor. They say that being on the school board is a thankless job, and certainly is. But being able to serve with you for the 8 years has been, it's been a pleasure, and I'd like to thank you for that. Now, in the 8 years, you've done about 13 years worth of work, from your volunteerism to the community. I mean, you're more than just a superintendent. You mean more than just to us here on campus. I mean, you've become East Islip's adopted son. So with that, the board would like to present you with an honorary diploma from East Islip. So well deserved, and we thought about, what else could we do for John? I mean, the work you've done here has not only impacted, the staff and children that are here now, but for generations, they will be benefiting from all the work that you did here. So Mr. Carpluck had a great idea. He thought we should name the dumpster by the high school, because John spends a lot of time over there. We were going to name that the John V. Dolan dumpster. We might do that anyway. We might go over there, especially Friday night or Saturday night if we're having too much fun. We might go over there and make it the John V. Dolan dumpster. But there were a lot of ideas thrown around, and Steph and Joanne had a really good one, and we threw it around as a board. And so we thought about it. This building is the ECC, but it's really not an early childhood center anymore. Tex? So what we're going to do is, at the next Board of Ed meeting, Ed, you want to throw it up? We're going to vote, I think it's going to pass, to name this building the John V. Dolan District Office Building. in his honor. It was hard keeping that a secret. I'm not sure if we did. I hope we did. It was not easy.
Holy cow. Wow. You would have been better off doing that at the beginning of my report because I'm speechless. You might have, if you had done it 8 years ago, I wouldn't have said a word. You guys might have gotten out of here early. Hey, look, wow. Yeah, thank you very much, but I'm going to tell you right now, it should say John V. Dolan and all the people of East Islip because, you know, sometimes you don't want to acknowledge the part luck pays in all of this. But if I hadn't found this place, I had a good life. I got a great family. I love them, but this has been the most incredible 8 years of my career. And yeah, just simply, I'm going to enjoy thanking you all individually. And again, like I said, I'm going to, thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, JVD building doesn't sound like ECC, but maybe the Dolan building, maybe we'll refer
The
it to.
nice thing is, though, I'm the first one in my family to get a high school diploma finally. So, Brian, maybe you could aspire to do that also. But,
So yes, this building will be in your name at least till the next board votes to put in somebody else's name. But I'd like to thank John's family, T, Brian, Kevin, Matt, and you guys, Megan. Thank you for sharing him with East Islip. I know he doesn't spend a lot of time at home. I'm sure your mom is grateful in some ways for that. But thank you guys for sharing him with us. Like I said, he's more than just the superintendent of schools. He does everything for the community, and he's just been an amazing fixture here in East Islip for the last 8 years. I know he's not going to go far. I know he's going to miss it. He's going to want to be around, but we'll have to cancel his card there, text, February 1st. But John, thank you very much for everything you've done and given us here in East Islip, and you'll forever be a friend. Well, at least for the rest of your life, a friend. And thank you very much for everything you've done.
Well, the feeling is more than mutual. And again, just remember, can't do it alone. There was some days it got a little bit crazy, but I will tell you right now, best community in the world, good, hard-working people, great kids, teachers, administrators, support staff, families, and even the extended families of kids who graduated. So, yeah, that's a really, really nice gift. All I want to do every day was make you folks proud. I was so scared of letting you down, and I'm going to have to even work harder at my next career. Mrs. Jones, thank you very much to make sure it's all good, all right? So thank you very much. Now let's get on with the meeting, because these kids have to go to school, and we all got to go to work tomorrow.
Any public comments on agenda items? Agenda items only. Resolved that the Board of Education herein appoints Aileen O'Rourke as interim assistant superintendent effective February 1st, 2023, for a term ending on June 30th, 2023, unless terminated sooner by the Board of Education, and be it further resolved that the president of the Board of Education is herewith authorized to execute an employment agreement between Aileen O'Rourke and the Board of Education respecting the terms and conditions of employment for her services as interim assistant superintendent. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, Dr. O'Rourke. Dr. Rourke has been with East Islip a long time in many capacities and has always just done a tremendous job. So we're excited to have her come up and join the team up here starting next month. So congratulations. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approves the resignations, terminations, leave of absence, position abolitions, employment appointments, tenure appointments, and salary changes in accordance with applicable provisions of education law and civil service law, as cited in the certified personnel attachments. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh. They look the same. Gotta go back to 7-2. Be resolved that upon the be resolved that the Board of Education of the East Islip Union Free School District appoints Julie D. Cullibus to the position of Interim Director of Special Education, effective February 6, 2023 through June 30th, 2023. Be further resolved that the Board of Education of the East Islip Union Free School District authorizes the Board President and the Superintendent of Schools to execute a salary and fringe benefit agreement with Ms. D. Cullibus at the rate of $700 per day, the terms of which have been made known to the Board of Education in executive session. I get a motion?
Motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Amanda Bailey, please stand up. How you doing, Amanda? Amanda, where'd you go to college? Don't sit down. Where'd you go to college? All right, could you sing the York College fight song, please? Stand up on a chair and sing the York College. No. Amanda's has been appointed today as a resource room teacher, .5 resource room teacher. Just want to welcome you. Luckily, I'm on my way out. These meetings will be much shorter, so you won't have to worry about that. But in all seriousness, Amanda, you earned this job through the interview process and who you are. You're joining what I think is a wonderful faculty and staff. You're going to have some really good role models. You have some really good, people who will guide you, from the custodians who open the doors to the secretaries who find everything for us, to the teaching assistants and your colleagues in the classroom. Make the best of it, love it, and who knows what it'll turn into down the road, but you earned it, and congratulations and welcome to the East Islip family.
Yeah, absolutely. You good? You going?
Are you scared of her?
No, just.
Not yet.
Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approves the resignations, terminations, leaves of absence, position abolitions, employment appointments, tenure appointments, and salary changes in accordance with applicable provisions of education law and civil service law as cited in the non-certified personnel attachments. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, sure.
Folks, if you look at the non-certified, we have a large number of student teachers and student field observers. I'd like to commend the teachers and the support staff in the building. We need to help guide the next generation and bring them up. But it's work. It's not easy. And it's always great when you bring children or you bring newbies into the house because they're fresh and they have all these great ideas and all this energy. But I think it speaks volumes for what this, what our teachers and our, administrators and building people, it speaks volumes that they open the doors for these young people to come in, especially at a time like where some schools were shying away from it for various reasons. So I think it bodes well because they bring energy and ideas to us and they can gain from the experience of the people we have. So I think all of our building people deserve a real nice round of applause for supporting these observers and student teachers. Thank you.
Okay, consent agenda items, 10.2 through 10.14. Anybody want anything pulled from the consent agenda? Okay, be resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, recommends the Board of Education approve the consent agenda items 10.2 through 10.14 in accordance with the action presented for each item. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
10.1. Whereas the New York State Real Property Tax Law 459C provides for a partial exemption from real property taxation for qualifying persons with disabilities, and whereas the East Islip Union Free School District has, by resolution, provided for the partial exemption from real property taxation for its qualifying persons with disabilities pursuant to RPTL 45C, and whereas the New York State Legislature periodically amends RPTL 459C5 to increase the maximum income eligibility for persons with disabilities, partial exemptions, and whereas on August 8th, 2022, the governor signed into law Chapter 488 of the laws of 2022 to amend respective town codes to increase the maximum allowable annual household income requirements to qualify for this exemption. And whereas the Board of Education has held a public hearing with regard to the proposed amendment, now therefore be it resolved that the annual income for the owners of combined income of the owners for the calendar year set by RPTL 459C5 shall determine the percentage exemption granted to persons with disabilities of the East Islip Union Free School District. And be it further resolved that the income of the owner or the combined income of the owners for the calendar year prior to the date of the application is filed shall determine the percentage of assessed valuation which is exempt from taxation in accordance with the attached schedule. And be it further resolved that the partial exemption shall be made in accordance with the chart contained in the attachment to this resolution. Annual income percentage of assessed valuation exempt from taxation up to and including $29,050 per centum, more than 29 but less than 30,000, 45 per centum, 30 and more but less than 31, 40 per centum, 31 but or more but less than 32, 35 per centum, 32 or more but less than 32.9, 30 per centum, 32.9 or more but less than 33.8, 25 per centum, 33.8 or more but less than 34.7, 20 per centum, 34.7 or more but less than 35.6 is 15 per centum, 35.6 or more but less than 36.5, 10 per centum, and 36.5 or more but less than 37.4 is 5 per centum. Anybody want that read again? We'll explain that in a second. It sounds a lot more complicated, I think, than it is, but motion. We will.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. This is what we met at 7 o'clock today for. Josh was here, I think, and Dr. O'Rourke. Basically, I mean, Mr. Harrison, do you want to summarize it? Do you want me to just give a, it's up to you.
Previous to the governor taking action on August 8th, the district had in place exemptions for senior citizens as well as persons with disabilities that reduced the assessments on their homes, which further would reduce their taxes. The previous limit on income was $29,000. I'm sorry, for persons with disability was $18,500. So the board is taking action tonight to increase that level to $29,000, and those qualifying would receive a 50% reduction in their assessed valuation. The action taken tonight would bring that in line with the exemption already provided to the senior citizens of the community.
Thank you. Yes, well, we certainly would love to help out our seniors and homeowners who are disabled by maybe reducing their taxes a little bit, which we're doing some of that tonight, but we'll see. The problem is right now we don't know how much that would impact everybody else. The numbers just aren't available, and they will not be until next year. So the board has decided, well, we'll do some tonight. We'll help out those with disabilities by reducing some of their taxes. But we're going to see what the numbers come out to be, through the town of Islip at the end of the year, and perhaps reduce that a little more. But without knowing what those numbers would be and how it would impact everybody else,
We're just doing a limited amount. So that is the sum and substance of that entire paragraph. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approves the attached list of appropriation changes for the 22-23 school year. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This is where we should have done the Mr. Dolan's stuff. Old business. Any old business? Any new business?
So I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Dolan for all the work that you've done for all of us in the district here. It's been said tonight about where we were years ago and where we are now, from academics to our buildings, and if everybody looks around this campus, everything has changed and did a complete 180, so I just wanted to thank him. Thank you, Mr. Dolan.
Hey, Mike, thank you, but it's people like you who are going to pick up the ball and run into the future with it. And, you know, I look forward to cheering you on. I'll help you any way I can, but don't ever lose sight of the fact that, you know, one of the first things I realized about this place, it had a lot of energy. So maybe some people will button heads a little bit, but boy, is it just full of good, hard-working people. So I appreciate all the thank yous, but I got a lot more, I learned a lot more from this town about working together and never giving up. And, you know, like I said, you guys, you know, this board and people out there and the parents coming up through the elementary and the middle school, you're going to take it to the next level. You know, we built a layer on something that was already good, and you're just going to continue to keep moving it up. So I appreciate your kind words.
Thank you. I just wanted to let you know, my vote with the sign, I also wanted to include a statue you immortalized on the side of the building, but the board disagreed with that, so sorry.
There are small children here. We don't want to scare them, okay, Mike? We're trying to bring more people into the district. We don't want to scare the women and the children by putting my face up there.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I pride.
I have a few words for Mr. Dolan. First of all, it's been great working with you, but I will not miss the 5:30 in the morning text messages. It's this man, as soon as he gets up in the morning, he's thinking of us and different ideas, and it was unbelievable. Thank you for your service.
Well, Mr. Rulon, I'm going to throw that one right back at you. I don't know if you remember where we first met. It was the breakfast on Saturday morning at the high school. And I distinctly remember the very first day I was in there, and there was this gentleman who was quick to tell me that his child was no longer affiliated with the program because he had moved on, but how much he loved the town, how much he loved everything about it, and he had all kinds of great ideas. And you know, you've proven it by running for the board and volunteering. You're all over the place. Everywhere I go, I turn around and there you are.
Somebody has to watch it.
And right back at you, Mr. Rowland, because you're the first one to text me back at 5:31.
Any other new business? New business? Stephanie?
Mr. Dolan, I want to say thank you for your years of service to the district and the community. I'm sure, as we've heard from a lot of other people tonight, it's really, really appreciated. The consistent leadership's been transformative to the district. Dr. O'Rourke and Mr. Culvis, congratulations on your appointments. I came tonight because about a month ago, we received messages through Parent Square at the middle school announcing that there would be a winter event, which I think it's fantastic. They're getting to more of these events. And that the students would have the opportunity to vote on it through a survey sent through Parent and Student Square. Whoever came up with that idea really deserves a pat on the back and high marks, because we're using the technology that we have to inform our decisions. I think it's fantastic. One small suggestion, because I know you've heard me talk about different club offerings in the past, and you've told me there's no interest or we don't know if there's interest. This would be a great opportunity to use that tool, since budget season is coming up, to survey the student populations, at least on the secondary level, to see what interest they might have in activities for the next year. So anyway, thank you again for your years of service.
Hey, Josh, don't run away. Thank you for always being willing to come up here and have the courage to make suggestions, and you know, always having the courage of convictions. And that's an excellent idea. And I think, you know, that is what's coming. That's the next generation. We're talking about the PSATs and moving them online, and do we have enough bandwidth, and how are we going to get there? But we're going to get there, and it's because of people like you to keep asking. So, you know, that's what I mean. It takes the whole town, and it takes a wide variety of opinions. And I do have an answer for you about fencing. You know, Josh called me one day, and he asked about the possibility of a fencing team. And, you know, it caught me completely off guard. And it's not widely done across Long Island, but we always say, if a child has an activity that they come to school for, it's really not an elective, it's important. Now, what we're exploring, and I'm going to get back to you later next week, you know, we started a volleyball program here for the boys. We never had a varsity boys volleyball program. Now we have a whole lot of kids. I think we have about 75 kids, you know, 80 kids in between middle school, JV, and varsity, which is great, keeping kids busy. We had girls volleyball, now we have boys. But our first year of existence, there were a couple kids from Bayport Blue Point that had no place to play. So we made an agreement with Bayport. A couple kids came over here. We don't have a pool. Connecticut has a pool. We sent some swimmers over to Connecticut, and it works out very well. What I noticed in the paper, I thought of you when I was home recovering. There was an article, and I saw there were several mixed fencing teams. So I made a phone call. I'm going to talk to Mr. Estivo, and if we have students that are interested in fencing, and we, you know, what might happen is, especially, you know, the first year or two, we might have to combine with another school, a neighboring school. But again, that's how you generate interest, because the Bayport Blue Point boys now have their own volleyball team. So it's that kind of stuff, Josh. Your calls are always appreciated. Your opinions are always valued. And, you know, thanks for being my friend.
Thanks.
Hi. Oh, put the clock on this one. Uh-oh.
I wrote a little ditty.
Wait.
I don't have my, I didn't know this was a roast, so I'm gonna go the opposite direction here.
Did she sign up this week?
I know I've said it enough to you through the years, how much my family and I appreciate you and all you've done for this district. I want to give you an extra thank you for saving Steve and I tons in private school tuition. 8 years ago, when you came to East Islip, I knew pretty quickly you were going to make big changes for good. I quickly became a part of the John V. Dolan cheer squad. My oldest two were already in private school at the time, and we thought that's where the next three were headed. And I had repeatedly told you why that the fifth grader at the time, who's my middle child, figure out a way so that I can keep her here come high school. And you did. I'm proud to stand here today with my first senior graduating from the East Islip High School. You will say she's your favorite Peppy, a close second to Mr. Peppy. Bella will tell you these last 4 years have been amazing, and I will say that her dad and I couldn't be prouder of her and everything she has accomplished here at East Islip. Everything you have done for Bella throughout the years has been nothing short of incredible. Your classroom and hallway pop-ups through the years have left a lasting impression. You have single-handedly ensured she was fed Bubba's frequently through the years, and also made sure she was given lots of time off from her job by constantly giving her boss a hard time over her work hours. For the record, it's me. I'm her boss, and she literally works 8 hours a week. Bella's sister and brother will also graduate from East Islip within the next 5 years, and that's because you and your team turned this district around over the years and made it one to be proud of. I will miss a few things from you from your time as superintendent. Turning on my stopwatch when you hit the stage to give a speech, getting stopped by you in the parking lot for a quick chat while picking up a kid from practice to hear all about renovations, only to have that chat turn into an hour-long rundown. Having to hang up mid-call because the conversation just has to end. I know this isn't goodbye. I know you'll find lots of ways to stick around. If Mrs. Jones needs a break, I look forward to showing you the ropes of being an EI volunteer. We in the PTA and FTK have some things we'd like to have you handle now that you'll have some free time. You leave big shoes to fill, but I have no doubt that whoever takes your job on will do their best at keeping your momentum going, and the rest of us will have our EI pride forever.
Hey, Cheryl, just for the record, you were in Texas this weekend and with your husband, and I called you and you have caller ID and you answered the phone, okay?
Steve said, just answer it, 45.
But Steve was texting me saying, keep her on the phone, keep her on the phone. But Cheryl, seriously, when you go back to sit there, take a look at Mrs. Jones, take a look at Mrs. Maloney. You know, our custodial staff, their union representative isn't there, but Mrs. Maloney and Mrs. Jones represent all of the workers in the district except for our custodial staff. You know, look up here at the Board of Education and the central office staff. As Chris said to me one day, you know, you're not nearly as good as people say. You just got great people around you, and it's really true. So, you know, how about we give them a nice round of applause? And Cheryl, and your sidekick over there, and everybody else who volunteers in this district, there are a tremendous amount of people who give back and give freely. And I'll be more than happy to come to FTK and park cars, because I know that you're going to keep me out in the parking lot so I don't annoy people. But, you know, maybe some people won't get inside to buy raffle tickets if I'm talking to them. But anything that you want, I will volunteer to help you with. I promise you that, because you folks have given me so much. So thank you very much, and make sure you thank those ladies on the way out the door.
Okay, give Cheryl. It's great to have Cheryl Pepe on your side, because her kids make up about 20% of the student body here in East Islip. Steph?
Like a lot of others in the frequently getting phone calls from Mr. Dolan Club, I wanted to congratulate and wish you well for your time here. You have made another transplant to this district feel welcome, and I do appreciate that. I also want to congratulate Dr. O'Rourke and Mr. Colt. I'm sorry, I'm going to say that name wrong, and I tried. DeColibus? Is that right? Yeah, whatever. The special education department here is phenomenal, and you know, the leadership that they have demonstrates that top to bottom. So it's really nice to see them, you know, proliferating to the rest of the district. I also just wanted to make a quick observation about something that happened in Connecticut right before the holidays that just really touched me. It was like a really, you know, a small thing that might have gone completely unnoticed, but I happened to catch it. They had a, you know, a fair for the little kids to come and buy Christmas presents for their families, and you know, my son was like, "Oh, I want to buy stuff for you and your mommy," and I was like, "Oh, sure, yeah, whatever." And then, of course, because you know, getting the kid ready for school, you know, I forgot to give him cash. But you know, one of the things that they had there was, you know, for the kids who didn't have money, they had gifts for the parents and I guess for you know, siblings, so that way they didn't go home empty-handed. And I thought that was a really touching gesture, and it was really thoughtful. And you know, it's those little things, those little moments of kindness that maybe we never really think about, that I think are really important to build on. So I just wanted to specifically call that out as just a good thing. So.
Yeah, I would assume that's our PTA. Our PTAs are amazing. They really are. So thank you for pointing that out, Garrett. Hey, what are you going to sing? No?
So as sad a day as I thought this was, it's tempered by the excitement
for you, John, to move on to your next chapter for a job well done here. I think our maker up above certainly broke the mold when he created you. I was looking at the shirt with the dates, and it made me think of the birth years of our 4 children, 1998, 2002, 2005, and 2007. So if you do the math quickly, I have 2 out and 2 close to being out, right? A few more years here. And my son, who was born in 1998, back in 2012, long before you were here, was in middle school, and the budget went down, and there was no middle school sports. And that kind of spurred me to become involved at that point to raise money so that there was a middle school sports program. And we had to raise $100,000 just to have a limited middle school sports at that time. And I guess like Cheryl, in part because of what was going on, Aileen had graduated from St. Anthony's, and my oldest son went that way as well. My other 3 kids are all, one's been through, 2 are on their way, and that's in large part based on what you've done here. And we lived through that transformation. From that point, there was a number of superintendents that kind of went through and just didn't get it done. And even when you were here, everyone was telling you, you don't understand how hard it's going to be to with the tax pack, you're not going to pass that bond, and the difference between you and the reason why they broke the mold is you're a people person. And so maybe at that interview, you didn't come across like superintendent material because they couldn't see the people and the grassroots approach that you would bring to the job. My son, Matt, who plays roller hockey, those kids used to go and they'd be playing in the parking lot by the ECC, now the John Dolan building to be, and they see that because the lights from the turf field, which was done first, were on. And they'd be playing there, I don't know what time, 8, whatever, and who's there, and who's talking to them, and so you knew, and that's the way you ran everything, that these kids love to play the sport, and were there, and this is where they would go to do it. And you fast forward a few years, and I think it's your understanding of that that led there to be a rink right now where they can go. So that's just an example, but it's an approach to the way you did the job. But it's not a job to you. And that's what makes you so special, and what really did, as other people said, transform the school district and the plant. And now it's the envy, right? I'm joking one day, I'm on the ball field and I see you talking to a bunch of people, and I'm like, what is he doing? Is he giving a tour? And I go over there, and Jody Donato's there, and that's exactly what you're doing, 50 years later, like, you're the person, the tour guide, like, showing off the grounds to, graduates of East Islip High School. Like, you can't make it up. I mean, it's a big joke in terms of the dumpster and whatnot, but who else does that? Who else is there and then has the pulse of a place, but someone who's willing to be there at all hours and to do and lead what you would expect everyone else to do, right? To leave the place a better place than the way they found it. And certainly you've done that. And for that, I can speak on behalf of my family, we're eternally grateful. So thank you, job well done, and God bless you in your next stage. But I know that we're going to hold you accountable and you're going to be around here, but I don't have any doubt about that.
Well, and Joe, I'd be remiss. We got a whole bunch of people over here, ladies in the back, and just look at the guys against the wall. I mean, when you have people like that, it's just impossible to fail. And Bill Belichick's got a great great saying: just do your job. And there are so many people here that come to work every day and just do their job and work hard and are very good at it. And I got to walk around and just enjoy it. Like, I don't think it's unbelievable, and also the students, you walk into class and they're doing their job, the teachers, the aides. It's, your words are very kind. I'm not going away, but I'll let you in on a little secret. It's really the people of this town that I love. All the stuff looks good, and all the, whatever, the things we've done were done by the folks up here. I always say that the board had a dream, and it's much better to have a dream, because when you walk in and say, I have a plan, people go, oh God, he's got a plan, that means I'm going to work. But the board had a dream, and the town bought into the dream, and the dream became a reality. But in the end, Time will pass, paint will fade, although Anthony, you're not going to let that happen, right? But the people and the memories and the passion, and as I said before, I mean, you know, there was an awful lot of kind words, but you're right. There were, you know, a big thank you to everybody out there that said we couldn't do it, because that just, the fear of failure, the fear of not delivering on the dream that the board had. And like I said, look against that wall. These guys are all going to be here tomorrow morning at 6:30, ready to go to work. Those ladies are going to be here at 6:30. Over here at 7 o'clock. That's what East Islip's all about. You know, I said it once to Boomer Esiason. He's, you know, what makes Boomer special is not what he did on a football field, but what he's done for cystic fibrosis. But I watched one night, watched the Super Bowl in Atlanta, and he signed off the air at 11 o'clock, and he was on the air at 5:30 on WFA and in New York the next day. And I said that to him one day. I said, that's the East Islip mentality. It's not about going to the Super Bowl. It's not about throwing a football. It's about you get up every day and go to work. And he smiled. And he said, that's my hometown. So thank you for your kind words.
Thank you, Joe.
I'm short. Okay. And just real quick, from the East Islip Booster Club that Joe and I and other people run, we wanted to give you a little token of a gift. I thought it was going to be used for you to hang out on your couch and maybe binge watch some shows, but I guess you're still going to be around here. So it's just a little blanket that you could maybe then use to, I guess, watch the games I'm sure you'll still be at. And then I also got Mr. Manzo one too, because I figured for the rest of the year you're going to be exhausted, so when you get home you could crash and have this little blanket to put around you. So thank you so much.
He keeps talking about how much he's going to be around here. I think the attorney should update you on the loitering laws. I hope Ms. Jones knows what she's getting herself into with her new hire.
I just want you to know Barbara Silhan down at Momentum got me a nice room with a view of Dunkin' Donuts.
She going to be your roommate?
Hey, all right, I wasn't going to tell this story, but I'm going to get in trouble. You know, I'm famous for calling my wife, who really doesn't want to hear from me, and say, I'm on my way home. Now, I live 6 minutes from here, you know, maybe 10 if I get stuck in a merge. And for the last 8 years, I'd call up and say, T, I'm on the way home. Be there in a couple minutes. 45 minutes, an hour. Later, I'd come home. But a couple weeks ago, I walked in the door, and there was T sitting at the counter, and I had called at around 5:15 and said, yeah, I'll be home in a couple minutes. I walked in about 7:05. And it was quiet. She seemed very happy to be there by herself. And she looked at me and she goes, you know, this might be the last night, because it was right before my operation. She goes, this might be the last night I eat dinner here by myself. And I started to think about it, and I said, oh, I guess I go, you excited about that? And she goes, I'll let you know in a couple of weeks. So honestly, you know, I might be back sooner than you think, and I might be paying you to let me back on the property to rent a room if I don't behave myself. But look, this has been fun. I love my blanket. This is pretty good.
Steph? The next Board of Education regular business meeting will be held on Thursday, February 9th, 2023. Would you like to do the motion to adjourn? So.
Yeah. I'd like to make a motion. Can I bang the gavel? All right. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn to start the next great generation of the East Islip School District.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
All in
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Dolan.
Thank you.